You see it all the time online, right? These huge claims of building million-dollar businesses from scratch. But is there an actual, repeatable blueprint behind it all? Well, today we're going to deconstruct the playbooks of three incredibly successful creators to see if we can piece one together. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start with this number, $1.8 million. This is the revenue one creator, Sina Rizai, claims he pulled in just 30 days from a single drop shipping product he pushed on TikTok. Wild. Okay, then there's this number, a little over $66,000. That's how much an 18-year-old named Carson Reed says he makes in a single week selling AI services to local businesses. And finally, this one, $110 million. That's what entrepreneur Misha Rorson sold his software company for. Look, these aren't just lottery wins. These numbers are the result of very specific, very strategic frameworks. So how in the world did they do it? We've broken down their methods into what is essentially a 5-step blueprint. We're going to cover finding your market, crafting your offer, hooking the customer, and then scaling the whole system. And stick around, because at the end, we'll show you how to run your very first lean test. All right, let's jump into step 1, finding your market. According to Rowerson, if you get this first part right, everything else feels like you're pushing a boulder downhill. Get it wrong, and you're pushing it uphill for years. He has this amazing term for it, a billion-dollar desperate market. And the key word, the most important word there, is desperate. This isn't just about finding a big market. It's about finding a group of people with a problem so painful, so urgent, that they are actively, right now, trying to find a solution and are willing to pay for it. So how do you know if the market's actually big enough? He uses this dead simple back-of-the-napkin formula. First, you just identify the total number of customers you could possibly have. Then, you estimate how much they'd realistically pay you per year. Multiply those two numbers, and if that final number is over $1 billion, you're in a good spot. This is the exact math he used for his $110 million exit. Okay, once you've found that market, we move on to step 2, crafting your offer. Now, this isn't just about what you sell, it's about how you sell it. It's about structuring the business itself to build real wealth, not just another job where you're trading time for money. And this all comes down to the difference between low leverage and high leverage. You know, in a low leverage business, think a traditional agency, your income is capped by the hours in a day. You're just trading your time for money. But in a high leverage business, like software, every hour you put in gets multiplied. You're building an asset, something with enterprise value that could be worth millions, far beyond its direct revenue. Carson Reed's AI agency is a perfect example of this. He targets businesses like plumbers or roofers, guys who get a ton of leads but have a problem actually converting them. His solution isn't just, I'll run your ads. No. He builds them a custom AI caller system. He charges a big upfront fee, like $5 to $10 grand, to build the asset, and then a smaller recurring fee, say $500 a month, to manage it. You see the difference? He's building a system for them, not just providing a service. Okay, so you've found a desperate market, you've crafted this incredible high-leverage offer. Now what? How do you actually get anyone to pay attention? Well, that brings us to step 3, hooking the customer. And this is where Sina Rizai's concept of hyper-dopamine content comes into play. Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. He describes it as content that is so strange, so weird, so visually and audibly captivating that it literally hijacks someone's brain and stops them from scrolling. It's designed to be a jolt. And there's a method to the madness. He structures these videos with a super simple 4-part framework. First, you grab them with that hyper-dopamine hook about a problem. Then you present the solution, but you back it up with authority, like studies show or celebrities use. Third, you explain how it all works, using your product as a vehicle. And finally, you hit them with a crystal clear call to action. It's a formula for persuasion, really. So, your content is working, customers are coming in, now what? This is the final operational step, step 4, scaling the system. The big question here is, how do you grow the business without you, the founder, becoming the biggest bottleneck? You've probably heard this classic quote from Jeff Bezos before. It perfectly sets up the first core principle of scaling. You have to stay small to move fast. Misha Rorson calls this his pizza squad rule, and it's super simple. Do everything in your power to keep your team under 8 people until you hit $1 million in sales. Why? Because this avoids all the meetings, the management overhead, the people problems that just grind so many young companies to a complete halt. Now, for scaling your content, Sina Rezai uses what he calls the variation strategy. And this idea is all about efficiency. It's a game changer. Instead of trying to come up with 10 totally new video ideas, you just take one good one and you create 5 different versions by only changing the first 2 or 3 seconds, the hook. And the process is so simple. You make one core video, that's your main explanation and call to action. Then you just film 5 different quick hooks. You attach each hook to that same core video, post all 5 versions, and you just sit back and let the algorithm tell you which hook works best. You just turned one idea into 5 experiments. You've massively increased your odds of going viral. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most actionable part of this entire blueprint, your first lean test. This is the secret weapon, the antidote to procrastination and getting stuck in what-if mode.
This framework, the lean learning loop, is all about speed and learning. You start with a simple hypothesis. I believe this group of people will buy my product. Then you design the absolute smallest, cheapest, fastest test you can possibly run to see if you're right. You collect that data, you draw a conclusion, and then you decide, do I keep going or do I pivot? It's all about learning before you waste time and money building something nobody wants.
So after deconstructing all of this, there's really only one question left to ask yourself. Based on everything we've just covered, what is the absolute leanest, smallest test you could design and actually run tomorrow to see if your own big idea has legs?